When a married person encounters their twin flame, they step into one of life's most profound and challenging spiritual experiences. This extraordinary connection often arrives unexpectedly, creating an intense emotional whirlwind that challenges everything they thought they knew about love, commitment, and their own identity. The journey of a married twin flame runner is particularly complex, marked by deep internal conflicts between earthly commitments and soul-level connections. Unlike conventional relationships, this connection transcends physical attraction or emotional compatibility. It strikes at the very core of one's being, triggering an unprecedented spiritual awakening that can't be ignored or easily dismissed. Many married individuals who find themselves in this position experience a profound inner turmoil as they navigate between their marital obligations and the undeniable pull of their twin flame connection. This situation often creates a complex web of emotions, including guilt, confusion, fear, and an overwhelming sense of inevitability that forces them to question everything they've built in their lives. The experience isn't simply about choosing between two loves. It's about embarking on a transformative journey that challenges their understanding of themselves and their life purpose. This spiritual catalyst often reveals aspects of themselves they've long ignored or suppressed, leading to deep introspection and personal growth, regardless of their ultimate choices. Imagine standing at the edge of two worlds, one built on foundations of commitment, responsibility, and societal expectations, the other pulsing with an inexplicable cosmic pull that defies rational explanation. This is the daily reality of a married twin flame runner, caught in what can only be described as an existential tug-of-war between earthly bonds and soul-level recognition. The complexity of this situation goes far beyond simple romantic attraction or emotional infidelity. It's like being simultaneously pulled by two different gravitational fields, one representing the stable, known world of marriage with its deep roots of shared history, family commitments, and social structures. The other, an overwhelming force that seems to operate on a quantum level, defying conventional understanding of relationships. This internal conflict manifests as a profound spiritual crisis. Many runners report feeling like they're living in two parallel universes, one where they maintain their married life with all its responsibilities and familiar patterns, and another where they experience an inexplicable soul recognition that makes everything else feel somehow less real. It's akin to discovering you've been watching life in black and white, only to suddenly encounter colors you never knew existed. The guilt becomes a constant companion, not just about potentially betraying their spouse, but about betraying their own truth. Like a bird that suddenly realizes it has wings but lives in a comfortable cage, the runner often experiences periods of intense emotional turbulence. 13. They find themselves questioning everything they thought they knew about love, commitment, and their own identity. What makes this situation particularly challenging is that, unlike traditional relationship conflicts, this isn't something that can be resolved through conventional therapy or counseling. The runner often feels isolated in their experience, unable to fully articulate the depth of their internal struggle to anyone who hasn't experienced it themselves. 1. It's like trying to explain the concept of color to someone who has only ever seen in grayscale. The vocabulary simply doesn't exist. The most profound aspect of this battle isn't just between right and wrong or love and duty. It's between different dimensions of truth. The runner must navigate between societal truth, their marriage vows and commitments, personal truth, their feelings and experiences, and what many describe as cosmic truth, the undeniable soul connection they feel with their twin flame. This creates a type of spiritual vertigo, where the runner often feels like they're constantly trying to find stable ground in a world that suddenly operates on entirely new rules. When a twin flame enters the life of a married person, it's like having someone suddenly hand you a pair of glasses that allow you to see into different dimensions of reality. The awakening isn't just about recognizing another soul. It's about experiencing an unprecedented shift in consciousness that transforms every aspect of how you perceive your existence. Imagine living your entire life in a room with beige walls, only to have someone suddenly reveal that what you thought was beige is actually a kaleidoscope of colors you never had the capacity to perceive before. This is what happens when the twin flame triggers the spiritual awakening in a married runner. The comfortable patterns of their marriage, which may have felt completely normal and satisfactory before, suddenly appear in stark relief against the backdrop of this new spiritual awareness. The awakening process often begins with what feels like a cosmic earthquake, shaking the foundations of everything the married runner thought they knew about love and relationships. It's as if they've been reading a book their entire life in black and white, and suddenly every word begins glowing with hidden meanings and depths they never noticed before. Their marriage, which may have seemed perfectly fine or even happy, suddenly feels like wearing shoes that are slightly too small, not unbearable, but noticeably constraining in a way they hadn't recognized before. This spiritual awakening isn't just about the connection to their twin flame. It's about discovering vast unexplored territories within themselves. The runner begins to discover layers of their own consciousness they never knew existed. They start questioning not just their marriage, but their entire life path, their beliefs, their purpose, and their understanding of what love truly means. The most profound aspect of this awakening is how it reveals the gaps or issues in their current marriage that they may have previously ignored or accepted as normal. It's similar to living in a house with a slightly tilted floor. You get used to adjusting your walk until someone shows you what it's like to walk on level ground. The contrast becomes impossible to ignore. The runner often finds themselves noticing the absence of deep spiritual connection or authentic soul recognition in their marriage, not because their spouse has changed, but because they themselves are seeing through new eyes. This awakening is both a gift and a burden, like being given wings while still being bound by earthly responsibilities. The married runner often feels like they're living in two worlds simultaneously, the familiar physical world of their marriage and family life, and a newly discovered spiritual dimension that feels equally real and compelling. This dual awareness creates a profound inner tension that becomes the catalyst for deep personal transformation, regardless of whether they ultimately stay in their marriage or not. Picture a tightrope walker suspended between two towering skyscrapers, one representing their established life with all its responsibilities, the other embodying the magnetic pull of their twin flame connection. This is the precarious position of a married twin flame runner, where every step forward or backward feels like it could trigger an avalanche of consequences affecting not just themselves, but an entire ecosystem of relationships. The weight of responsibility becomes almost tangible, like carrying an invisible atlas on their shoulders. For those with children, this burden multiplies exponentially. It's not just about personal desires anymore. It's about the ripple effects that could potentially alter the course of multiple lives. Imagine being the keystone in an arch. Remove it, and the entire structure threatens to collapse. This is how many married runners perceive their position, frozen in place by the fear that any movement could bring down the carefully constructed architecture of their family life. The paralysis often manifests as a profound spiritual crisis that goes far beyond typical relationship doubts. It's like being caught in a quantum state where both choices, staying and leaving, exist simultaneously, and the runner feels that by making a decision, they're not just choosing a path, but potentially destroying another reality. The fear isn't just about making the wrong choice. It's about the responsibility of making any choice at all. This paralysis is further complicated by the deep-seated fears that the twin flame connection brings to the surface. Core wounds around abandonment and rejection often resurface, making the runner question whether they're running from their twin flame or from their own unhealed trauma. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff. The view is breathtaking, but the depth is terrifying. The runner often feels like they're being asked to jump without a parachute, trusting in a connection that defies logical explanation. The responsibility aspect often becomes a convenient shield, a socially acceptable reason to remain in stasis. Yet beneath this shield lies a more profound truth, the fear of their own transformation. The twin flame connection doesn't just promise union with another soul. It demands complete dismantling of the ego's protective structures. For a married runner, this means potentially sacrificing not just their comfortable life, but their entire identity as they know it. The way forward often isn't about making the right choice, but about finding the courage to make any choice at all. The paralysis itself becomes a teacher, forcing the runner to confront their deepest fears about responsibility, commitment, and authentic living. Whether they ultimately stay in their marriage or follow the twin flame path, the real transformation happens in the crucible of this paralysis, where fear and responsibility dance their delicate dance with divine timing and personal truth. Imagine a caterpillar, contentedly living its life, unaware that its DNA already contains the blueprint for wings. This is the state of many married individuals, before their twin flame encounter catalyzes a profound metamorphosis. The transformation that follows isn't just about choosing between two loves. It's about breaking open the chrysalis of their former identity to discover the spiritual being they were always meant to become. The most fascinating aspect of this transformation is how it forces runners to confront their shadow selves, those parts of their psyche they've carefully hidden away beneath layers of social conditioning and marital compromise. The process is both terrifying and liberating, like finally opening a door you've been afraid to approach for years, only to find a room full of treasures you forgot you owned. Runners often find themselves questioning not just their marriage, but their career choices, their friendships, their spiritual beliefs, and even their fundamental understanding of what love means. The transformation demands authenticity in all areas of life, not just in the realm of relationships. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of this transformation is how it reveals the divine orchestration behind what appears to be chaos. Runners often discover that their marriage, rather than being a mistake, was a necessary stage in their spiritual evolution, a cocoon that protected them until they were ready for this profound awakening. The journey becomes less about choosing between their marriage and their twin flame, and more about choosing themselves, their authentic, whole, healed selves. It's about recognizing that the greatest love story isn't with another person at all, but with their own soul. This transformation often reveals that the twin flame's role wasn't to be their ultimate romantic partner, but rather a divine catalyst for the most important reunion of all, the reunion with their own higher self. Finding balance as a married twin flame runner is like learning to dance between two worlds. One foot anchored in the physical realm of commitments and responsibilities, the other stepping into the ethereal dance of soul recognition. This delicate equilibrium becomes not just a goal, but a profound spiritual practice that transforms the very nature of how we understand love, commitment, and divine timing. From the divine perspective, both sides are equally necessary. The runner learns to appreciate both the order and the chaos, understanding that each serves its purpose in the grand design of spiritual evolution. The journey toward balance often begins with the profound realization that the twin flame connection isn't meant to destroy existing structures, but rather to transform them from within. The runner begins to understand that the intense energy of the twin flame connection serves to dissolve old patterns and beliefs about love that no longer serve their highest good. This process isn't about choosing between their marriage and their twin flame. It's about expanding their capacity to hold both sacred and profane love in their heart simultaneously. The most fascinating aspect of this balancing act is how it reveals the true nature of divine timing. Many runners discover that their marriage itself was part of their spiritual preparation, a cocoon of sorts that protected them until they were ready for the intensity of the twin flame awakening. The guilt that once consumed them begins to transform into gratitude as they recognize that every step of their journey, including their marriage, has been perfectly orchestrated to lead them to greater spiritual awareness. This balance isn't achieved through force or rigid rules, but through a gradual surrender to what is. Like water finding its own level, the runner learns to allow their energy to flow naturally between their commitments and their spiritual truth. They begin to understand that honoring their marriage while acknowledging their twin flame connection isn't a betrayal of either. It's an act of profound spiritual maturity that recognizes the multiple layers of love that can exist simultaneously. The ultimate paradox that runners must embrace is that true balance often comes not from trying to equalize both sides, but from fully inhabiting each moment with complete presence and authenticity. Whether they're fulfilling their marital duties or processing the deep soul recognition of their twin flame connection, the key becomes bringing their whole self to each experience without resistance or attachment. This state of conscious presence becomes their bridge between worlds, allowing them to honor both their earthly commitments and their soul's journey toward union. Through this process, many runners discover that what appeared to be an impossible choice between two loves transforms into an opportunity for unprecedented spiritual growth. The very tension that once caused them such anguish becomes the force that propels them toward their highest evolution, teaching them that true love isn't about choosing between options, but about expanding their heart's capacity to embrace all aspects of their journey with grace and wisdom. The journey of a married twin flame runner ultimately leads to profound transformation, regardless of the final outcome. Through the intense emotional turbulence and spiritual awakening, these individuals often discover deeper truths about themselves and their capacity for love. The resolution of this complex situation rarely follows a simple path. The most crucial development comes through integrating the spiritual awakening with practical reality. Runners often discover that the twin flame connection served as a catalyst for their own growth and self-discovery, rather than just being about romantic union. Through time and healing, many runners develop a more balanced view of both relationships, honoring their marital commitments while acknowledging the profound spiritual connection with their twin flame. This often leads to a deeper understanding that twin flame relationships aren't always meant for physical union, but rather spiritual evolution. The ultimate resolution comes when runners stop running from themselves and embrace their authentic truth. Whether this leads to maintaining their marriage or making different choices, the decision comes from a place of genuine self-awareness rather than fear or obligation. Ultimately, the twin flame journey for married runners isn't about choosing between two loves. It's about embarking on a profound journey of self-discovery that transforms their understanding of love, commitment, and spiritual growth. While the path may be challenging, it ultimately leads to greater authenticity and spiritual maturity, regardless of the external outcome.